David from Dash Off-Road, and you guys have been asking me for ages to do a rig rundown. Here we go. So I'm going to go through everything on my car completely, like front bumper to back bumper. First go through all the bar work, then the driveline modifications, everything that's happened on the inside, engine bay, and we're going to go through the lot. If you've been following me for a bit, you'd know that my car is constantly evolving, and about a year ago I did a feature with Ronnie Dahl on this car, and it was a cool feature. I'll put the link up here, but the car has totally changed since then. Like, a lot has happened in the world of Dash Off-Road in the last year. So I'm going to start off, similar format though, so I'm going to go through bar work first. Now, this is the second bar I've had on my car, and funny enough, second set of sliders. And I'll be changing the rear bar soon as well. And the main reason is weight. I go on about weight with cars all the time, but it's really easy to go over your GVM. So that's why my opposite lock triple hoop bar came off. This one got put back on. This is the Predator bar, and it's only 45 kilos, so weight saving. While we're here, talk about the winch. Again, second winch. Had a cheaper winch and it died. Since I put in a carbon winch in there, that's a £9,500. I really should have got a £12,000 winch because it's a heavy car, and I'm finding I have to double up quite a bit to do what I need to do with it. So I'll probably put another winch in at some point as well. So next is the sliders. Again, I had the Superior Engineering ones to start with. They were about 45 kilos each. Now I've changed over to the Big O sliders, and I think they're about 30 kilos each. So, you know, overall I'm saving 30 kilos just by swapping out those sliders. Really tough. They're all CAD drawn, then plasma cut. The welding is fantastic. The guys at Big O are excellent. Very happy with the sliders, and they've been tested. I can tell you, I've smashed them big time, and they're yet to move. One thing I would like to do is find a coating though, or something that would stop them from scratching, so I'm going to work on that next. Kmart bar, again, this is a heavy item, really good, really solid. I've dropped the back end numerous times and it has dented up a bit at the bottom. But just this bit here is 100 kilos, so I'm going to be taking that off and putting something lighter on soon as well. And I'm going to go for a centrally mounted wheel carrier, so that's coming. Bosch Plates, very important. Again, I've done the Dash Off-Road ones, obviously. So they're a 4 Bosch plate design. It protects from the front radiator, basically, all the way to the trans, or all the way back to the transfer case. You'll notice I don't have a roof rack on at the moment, and that's because I had a bit of an accident. I had one of those 270 Darchie awnings that go all the way around. I put it up to dry out one night and forgot about it. Came back in the morning, and it was up on top of the roof, all damaged, so the roof rack's off. And I must admit that was quite a heavy item, made of steel. I want to go and put a aluminium one on. I've got an idea for that, and that's coming up too. Next is lighting. I used to have HIDs, they were cheaper ones. Put the video link up there to the ones I had on. Navas, really happy with them. LED. HID I think would probably go further, but these are just such a broad lighting. I'm a big fan. Probably the best lighting I've seen. I do like the Infinities, the ARB ones. They're about, I don't know, another $500 again, so not sure. These have been great. As we go on lighting, if you know me, I like lights. So the headlights. The old ones got all scratched up and got cataracts, so we changed over to these ones. Now, Kerry helped me out. I'll turn them on so you can see them in a minute. We have daytime running light through here, sequential indicators there, come with a HID high beam, and we've swapped over to a LED low beam with a halo around the outside, and then ceramic coated. That was a lot to remember. I'll turn them on to show you. Yeah, I know, it's cheesy. I can change the colour of the halos to anything you want. It's all done via an app on my phone. I don't know why, I just like this stuff. At the same time, I've put some new lights down the bottom here. So again, this is a co-gear. I'll turn them on for you. So this can be set in any colour, and I'll put blue or red or green. And I've got a remote control for that. And then there's a halo around the outside as well, so I can choose to either have the halo up here or a halo down there, or the demon eyes to get them to match, or whatever I want to do. The light that comes out of these coloured ones, it's okay. Like, there's a white light, it's kind of blue-white. It doesn't really do much on the road, so I've got another globe, and it's just as easy as popping it out, popping the other globe in another controller, and that's a tricolour LED for like a bright white, dull white, and then like a yellow fog as well, and that has real usable light coming out of that. So when I'm not in gimmick mode, I'll put the other ones in too. Alright, we're inside the DASHmobile. This is a 2013 first registered 2014 STL. So it doesn't get quite as much as the fancy stuff as the TI and TILs. We've got the 7-inch screen, I believe it is. No tyre pressure monitoring system, and what else would be different? No leather, and I think that's the main differences to the interior. Straight up, you'll see that I disliked the wood grain, and that had to go. So I've rewrapped the dash. I've got the black carbon fibre down the centre, and then I've got the red carbon fibre around the outside, which my wife really doesn't like. So we'll probably have to change that at some point. Easy to do, or easy enough to do. I'll put a link to the video I did on it up here and show you that as well. And what I've got to get around the tyre pressure sensor monitoring system, this is a new little toy of mine. It's from Wish, 40 bucks or something. So this shows the tyre pressures, and you can see my front left is a bit low there at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to test this out in the caravan soon, see if it works for that too. Anyway, that resides perfectly down here. So I can keep an eye on my tyre pressure monitors on the fly. Talk a bit about cameras. So you would have seen on the back I've got the KMR rear bar with the tyre on the passenger side. So if you're going to buy a KMR rear bar, put it on the driver's side, because otherwise it blocks the camera. Anyway, so I've relocated the camera at the back and drilled it into the KMR rear bar, and I've upgraded it to an infrared one. So now when I go in reverse, I can see outwards with the KMR rear bar, and we've just got new neighbours at Redmark Caravan Park here. But so I can see the tow ball, I've added another camera in the factory location on the driver's side that looks down on the tow ball. So when I'm reversing, I can look backwards, and when I'm hooking up, I can see down at the same time. And I can press this other button, it'll just be a blue screen now, but that will show the back of the camera as well. So 3 cameras in the whole rig, and 2 of them can be controlled from here. I've been asked quite a bit about this system. I'll put the video of it up here when I did it, but this is a sphere system. It came with Jayco, and it's easy enough to wire into. Communications, I'm using the Uniden 770. It's an alright bit of gear. I've had a few of them now, they seem to be fine. I don't like stuff everywhere in my car, so usually it gets hidden in the center console here where the main base unit is, and then when I need it on a trip, it comes out and hooks onto the sunglass holder, so that works out nice and neat. While we're here, also talk about this little device up here. I'm going to do a feature video just on this on its own, but this is the Unichip head-up display. It's fantastic, gives you speed, RPM, coolant temps, oil temps, not trans temps, voltage, and you can change, and there's about 20 different things you can get it to read out above sea level. But what I really like is it works on GPS speed and not the Nissan speed, so I can get an accurate speed on my car with the bigger tyres. Moving backwards now in the car, well, no, first I'll show you. I said we didn't have leather in the STL, so I got some seat covers. First ones were denim, really comfortable actually, but they faded, they weren't very UV stable. So now we're trying out these N7 ones, and they were kind enough to put my logo in them. That's very, very cool. Neoprene stubby holder material, so far wearing quite well. I'm not into summer yet. I wonder what they're going to be like, whether they're going to be sweaty in summer, so I'm going to give that a test out. But it just transforms the interior of the car. I love the red stitching and the black, really cool, matches out the rest of my car. Now, moving back as we go, it was important to keep 7 seats in this car, just for school runs and kids. There seems to always be a million kids in my car. So I did want to have a battery system and a drawer and a travel buddy. By putting everything over this side, I can still get the third row up, so I can still have my extra 2 seats in the back, and plus I can have my travel buddy. I don't know if you've seen these for travel buddy. We just got them actually, like an aluminium steel tray that slides in. They rattle a bit, so I might have to bend this out, but that's going to be so cool. If you don't have a travel buddy, do yourself a favour and just go buy one. They're the best mod I think I've done in this car, full stop. Pies, all sorts of things that we've put in there, they've been amazing. Now, under the travel buddy resides my 100 amp hour lithium battery. I do have another battery under the bonnet, and there's a reason for that. This lithium battery is fantastic, but once it gets low, it's rubbish. It's hard to get, well, not hard to get charged back into, but you can get tricked out with the way it charges. And with all my camera stuff that I'm charging, the travel buddy on, the fridge running, the charger is a 25 amp charger on top, projector, and sometimes I'm pulling more than 25 amps out of the battery, and I've run it flat, like on a 10-hour day, because I'm just charging so much, and I've had this running the whole time. So in that scenario, I also still have my yellow top battery under the bonnet. You can suck as much out of that as you want to, and because I've disabled the smart alternator, I can pump, and I've just got a smart solenoid, I can pump as much from the alternator into it. So it doesn't matter if there's 40, 50, 60 amps being drawn by all my accessories, the alternator will put that into my auxiliary battery and that will keep everything going. And I can switch between the two, between lithium and the auxiliary, by just exchanging Anderson plugs. I wouldn't mind putting that on one of those taps, dual battery taps, so I can have it set up that way. That's just what I'm thinking at the moment. Only thing about having the travel buddy mounted forwards like this, if you've got a frozen lasagna in there and you brake hard, it'll come out and hit the person in the back of the head. So I believe you can get other brands or even just an aftermarket latch that goes on, but until that's sorted out, we're just doing things the old style way with a knocky strap. Does the job. So when we flip the seat down, and I'm showing you this for a reason, this is where I keep a lot of my recovery gear, fire extinguisher, first aid kit, because this is stuff you want to get to quickly, and if you're stuck with your car up in the air, sometimes it's hard to get to the back, and I know, and everyone else in the car knows, that if something happens, they can reach in, grab the recovery gear, it's right here, I can pull it out. The first aid is right here, the fire extinguisher is just underneath, and under the false floor there's a bottle jack and jack extension kits, jack plate, all that sort of thing. So I keep it where it's relatively easy to access back here. So if you've done your research on patrols, Y62s, the TIs just have a normal headrest as STLs, and then the TILs have got I think it's an 8-inch screen built into the headrest that runs off of the main DVD player at the front. That's cool, but I must admit, even if I had a TIL, I'd be tempted to upgrade to these DVD headrest players, because they work individually. You can put the DVD in the top, you can put a memory card in the side or a USB. They run independent of each other. You can have infrared headphones, and they're like $400. They're cheap. Heaps of entertainment for their kids. They leave us alone on all our 4-wheel drive trips. Big fan.
Yeah, it's got track and road.
Oh, look what's on. It's me.
What condition and the bit of...
So back of the car now. That rear camera that I was talking to you about, the aftermarket one that I put in, that one is just here, and yeah, it is infrared, which is quite cool. This is the connection for the camera at the back of the van, and obviously trailer plugs. Drop down hitch, I get picked on this a bit. It's a 250mm drop down hitch, but turns out when you lift the car 4 inches, that's what you need to hook your van up to. So we've got the third row seats up, and a drawer and the fridge and the travel buddy in front of it and the battery. Now the width here of the Titan drawer system, and I'm no advocate for Titan really at all, but it comes in a 500mm drawer and they're cheap. To be honest, I can't really find a fault with the Titan drawer. Maybe it doesn't come out as far as some of the others, but honestly it's not much to complain about there. So I've got like a false floor underneath there, so that sits flat. Little table that comes out, and there is millimetre perfect gaps up here to fit this fridge in. It's a 50-litre Evercool fridge, but it just fits in, and I can still get to it by dropping it down. Just see in there. The fridge drop-down slide is angle. Again, it's the only one I could find that could fit in this space. They're about $400. It's like the fridge slide cost more than the drawers. The only thing is, and you guys have been watching my videos talking about squeaking all the time, this is it. It's doing this. This little latch here, I need to put a grommet or something, but this is where the squeaking is coming from, and probably me not loading my drawers up correctly. I should have everything padded in lasagna style. Underneath here, this is, and I admit this needs to be done a bit neater, a lot neater. It sees some action. So I've got an extra fuse block done here. I've got my TowPro Elite and a big fuse. So there's an Anderson plug. Oh, there's a big cable. I think it's 8 gauge running from the front battery to the back here. It goes to the Anderson plug on the back of the Kmart bar, and it also comes to this fuse block here via a 40 amp fuse. I'm about to redo all this because this is all great. Just stand back a bit. This is all great, and it's been handy when I want to put another fridge here and I can plug it in and charge little accessories, but now it's getting a bit much. I have a dedicated charging box which goes in here, and I can charge about 10 things in at once. And I'm finding the light switch and stuff is getting knocked. So we're going to relocate these switches up here, and while this is off, I've got an ARB dual compressor going in. On-track supplied this plasma cuts plate, so it's going to bolt directly in this location, and all you'll see is the little like air socket thing that comes out. So much more efficient use of all this space, and I can tidy it all up, which I've been meaning to do for ages. So we're going to talk about tyres and drivetrain at the same time because they're connected, aren't they? Y62's come out with a 33-inch or almost a 33-inch tyre standard. That's what drew me to the Y62 right from the beginning. I used to have a D40 and I wanted to upgrade the tyres, and it got to a point where if I wanted to make that car any more extreme, I had to do big stuff. So I thought I'll start with a car that has 33s almost to begin with, and then I can start moving up from there. So I got my Patrol and I put my 35s almost on there, put a 2-inch suspension lift, and it lasts about 30,000 Ks, and that's when I had a lot of weight in the car, so I had to pull the suspension out and change it over. So I went for Tough Dog, and I got it engineered at the same time. So that means my engineer worked out the call rates and everything that needed to be done. I even did a GVM upgrade. Back then that was just unheard of, and the way I could do the easiest GVM upgrade was going for my Group Axle Max, which is 3680 kilos, so that's my new GVM, and it was all good. But me being me, wanted to get more and see what the limits of these Y62s could be. So having a chat to Andrew at On Track, and he's helped me out all along the way, like he's done so much on my car and advised me. And now we've got a 37-inch Mickey Thompson ATZ P3, fantastic tyre, it's my second set, and I'll buy a third too. Behind that is a Tough Dog 2-inch lift. As I was saying, I've kept the coils from my previous lift, replaced the shocks because they needed doing again, and I've got the Tough Dog adjustable shock, which turns out is one of the longest shocks that you can get. We've compared them to Kings and Fox and Ironman, and it's just the longest length that you can get. Also at the same time, we changed over the upper control arm. It's a company I'm working with at the moment that's just put a prototype in. Not quite finished, so I can't say what it is, but now I've worked out with this Tough Dog shop that I've got a lot more down travel with my suspension, which is great. The limiting factor initially was the upper control arm hitting the chassis, and the TILs get that as well. Now I've got the control arm that goes down further. The next limiting factor is the shock length. So HPMC you can't do anything about. Tough Dog seem to be the longest. I'm not saying they're the best shock in the world, but they're just the longest. So I've got a huge amount of down travel now. When you go to 37s, your world changes. Heaps of traction off-road, loads of fun, however, and you would have seen this video before up here about talking about everything that needs to be changed. So to get my wheel alignment back right, I had to do the control arms at the front. To get my caster back, had to do lower control arms rear. That's the aluminium ones from On-Track. That pushes the wheel back out so I can get my toe back as well. Then the gearing is all wrong, so we've had to put in diff gears. Turns out the V6 diff gears that come from UAE give you a 3.66 ratio compared to a 3.2, and that made it transform the car. If you're going to go 37s, you really should do diff gears. But of course, then if you're taking the diff out, you might as well put a front locker in too. So now we have 37-inch tyres, twin locked, running diff gears. The thing's an absolute weapon. I love it. Of course, diff lock, we did the front one, so that's a Harrop e-locker. Press the button on, press the button off, works a treat. The back one, and the reason why I went for the Harrop over ARB, they're both great brands. I've owned ARB front lockers before, but every time you press the button, everyone knows that you've pressed it. So I do like the e-locker that no one knows. You can subtly press it on just in case you need it, and turn it off very easily too. The back one, Nissan factory locker, has a safety ECU mechanism built into it, so I'll only let you engage the rear diff when it wants you to, which is good and bad. I recently busted a drive shaft on the rear. I bet if I didn't have my co-gear override locker button, that wouldn't have happened. But the million times, other times where I've got through stuff because I could instantly press my co-gear button to get through it and have the rear locker on, is worth that risk. You just got to, think about things a bit, that's all. Engine bay. We'll start passenger side, work our way across. Right here is where the factory ECU usually sits, in sort of this location. I wanted to put another battery under the bonnet, so I've got, I keep saying yellow top, it's actually got a blue top, just means it's a marine version of it. 55 amp hour AGM up here, fuses here which will go to the back of the car, and another fuse here, or circuit breaker, which will go to the starting battery too. While we're here, uni-chip, so squeezing out a little bit of power. On the dyno, it said, so at all fours with 35s, I think I was getting 126 kilowatt standard, and after the uni-chip it was about 160 something, 164. I'll put the link up here so you can see that one. Anyway, in the seat you can really tell, probably because of the throttle response as well has been changed, and it's got the 5-map selector, which I learned a couple of things recently. You can get like an immobilizer setting, so say if you go and park your car in a dubious place, you put the immobilizer. Someone can start the car, but the throttle response has been removed, so they can't drive it anywhere. So I haven't got that, but I think I might, next time I get my little tune refreshed, I might put that on there. But I can change for 91 octane fuel, 95, 98. I've got a full driving map as well, which backs off the throttle response, almost like you're in rock mode. And I find, very happy with Uni-chip, couldn't be happier. Moving around, I told you I was going to put an ARB air compressor in the back. Well, I've got one down here, but it's just a single one, and to pump up 4 37-inch tyres takes about a half an hour. So I'm going to have the front one pumping the front tyres up and another one pumping the back tyres up, and then all my mates don't have to wait for me airing up at the end of the day all the time. No snorkel. I get asked about snorkels a fair bit, and I must admit I haven't seen one I like yet. The TJM one, It's got a vent coming in halfway up the bonnet. I don't know, if there's water rushing up, could that go in there? And I wonder if they don't look big enough. Are they big enough to run enough air for these vehicles? I'm not sure. Then there's a Safari, which is bloody massive. You know, if you want a place to rest 4 beers across the side of your car, it's got a massive ledge that comes out here, so I'm not convinced on that. These engines suck in so much air that even with, say you've got a stainless steel one pointing backwards, rain can be sucked back in and you get wet filters in heavy rain too. So I'm starting to think maybe having just the Snorkel that, you know, coming into the guard as is probably not that bad an idea. I did see something, this was on the Unichip site the other day, where it's got a replacement air filter which had like a switch where you could vent here for high air intake, but then you could shut that off and open up the Snorkel. That might be the ultimate. I might research that a bit more actually. Switching over to the other side. Now, I've replaced the starting battery, and they all tend to go in these, especially if you haven't disconnected the smart alternator. And when I bought this battery, I matched the charging characteristics of the AGM, because there's no use having my smart solenoid connecting the two batteries together and having different charge characteristics, because what will happen, you'll just get the charge of the weaker battery between the two when they're linked. So that's the one. It's a AMARON, whatever that brand is, but the charging characteristics is what I went for. Switch of my compressors turned on here, another fused link going between the other batteries. Something to watch out with these Y62 Patrols. On the positive up here, you can see there is the positive terminal, there is this fuse. If, for example, you connect your winch to the fused side, you can blow this 80 amp fuse and your car will be dead. So you make sure if you're doing any high drawing accessories, they go straight to the battery terminal. But if you're just running, you know, lights and small things, you can connect to it. So I've got a Nava bank in here, hidden in there, and so I've got a wire coming off the positive terminal here, going to this bank, and then my accessories that are coming off the auxiliary battery of the yellow top on the other side on this bank here. It was tricky to get this to fit in, and I admit it's not the neatest. In fact, there's so many wires going to this car, it's not even close to neat. But it all fits in there quite well and stays relatively dust protected. So that's my car. Hope you enjoyed it. There's heaps of stuff, as much as I've done, there's still heaps more I want to do. I want to change the rear bar to a Predator rear bar. I want to change the front bar to the new LED style, but that's also because I'm working on this coding thing that we're going to start doing with our bars. Roof rack I want to do. It's like, it'll never finish. So this isn't the end of the DASHmobile, but it's where it is as in end of 2019. Have to thank some people along the way. Big O have helped me out big time. On Track enormously with every time something's wrong, I can ring up Andrew and he tells me what to do. Even if I break a drive shaft on a Saturday at the 4-wheel drive show, he's there to talk me through it. And then I do this video that you'll think it's my knowledge. No, it's all Andrew. He's telling me what to do. Carbon Winch have helped me out. Red Arc have helped me. Oxbeam have helped me. Unichip have been ever so helpful. You know, all of these people that support my channel, please go and support them too, because I couldn't have done it without it. That's it for now. You know what I'm about to say. Thanks for watching. Yeah.